Good afternoon, all dear students of 4th semester EX department, SIIT College. This is Devin Tiwari presenting YouTube video lecture 3 on subject power system on the topic comparison between overhead lines and underground cables. So we will start. Let's start. We'll move to first slide. So first we will see the comparison between these overhead lines and underground cables. So we should be aware of what are overhead transmission line and what are underground cables. The transmission lines are used to transmit the power for long distance. There are two types of transmission lines. First one is overhead transmission line. Overhead transmission line uses bare conductors. These conductors placed at a height from the ground. To maintain clearance between the conductors and ground, supporting towers are used. The voltage of transmission line decides the height of tower. Hence, the insulators used to provide insulation between the conductor and the tower. As the transmission voltage level increases, the height of tower increases to provide more clearance between the ground and conductors. Now, what is underground transmission lines? First, we will see this topic. In underground transmission system, the number of conductors bunched together with proper insulation. The underground cable provided with latch sheath and armoring. These provide protection against moisture and any kind of mechanical damage or injury. As the voltage level increases, the thickness of insulation increases. Now, in tabular form, we will understand this comparison, that is between overhead line and underground cable. So in this tabular comparison, on the first part, the first side, we have divided the table into three columns. First will be the characteristics, or we can say features, and on the two sides, overhead line and underground cables will be compared. So first we will see what is fault location, or we can say regarding fault location comparison. In case of fault location, when we will see overhead line, as the overhead line is visible, it is easy to find the location of fault. But in the case of underground cable, it is not visible. That means underground cable is invisible. That's why it's very difficult to find the location of the fault. Second one is the topic is initial cost. We can say second point is of comparison is initial cost. So in case of overhead line, there is no requirement of digging manholes and trench. So the overhead line system is cheaper than underground system. In case of underground cable, the initial cost of underground transmission system is more compared to overhead line because it needs digging, trenching, etc. That means there are so many other works. That's why this initial cost of underground cable system is more as compared to overhead line system. Third point is chance of fault. As overhead line exposed to the environment, the chances of faults are more. And whereas the cables are not exposed to the environment, there is less chance of fault. So we can say there are less chances of fault in underground cable as compared to overhead lines because they are exposed in environment. Next point. Next slide. Next feature is safety. In the case of overhead line system, when we will talk about safety, this system is less safe. Which system we are talking about? Overhead line system. This system is less safe as the conductors placed on the tower, because we have placed the conductors on the towers. That's why this system is not safe. Now we'll move to underground cable. This system is safer as the cable are placed underground. That's why we can say safety is more with underground cables. Next topic is useful life. In the case of overhead line system, useful life is approximately 20 to 25 years. But in the context of cable, we can say useful life is approximately 40 to 50 years. Now, next point is appearance. In case of overhead line system, the general appearance of this system is not good because of all lines are visible. You can say all lines are visible, so their appearance is not good. But in case of underground cable, the general appearance of the system is very good because of all lines are not visible; they are hidden. Right? Now we move to next slide. Now, next point of comparison is maintenance cost. Overhead line system, there is no need to dig at the time of maintenance. Hence, for the same number of faults, the maintenance cost is less. It means when we will find out any kind of fault in overhead line system, there is no kind of digging needed because the system is visible to us. We can easily find out the faults. But in case of cable, to find out fault, digging is compulsory. Digging is compulsory. That means it increases labor cost for repairing or for maintaining, or we can say for tracing same number of faults. The maintenance cost is more here. Next point is flexibility. Overhead line system, we can say it is more flexible because expansion of system is easily possible. Whereas in cable system, this system is not flexible. The expansion cost is nearly equal to new erection of system. That means we will, if you go for expansion of the system, it will be nearly equal to the new erection of system. That's why flexibility is not here. Now next point is comparison is conductor size. In case of overhead line system, the conductor placed in atmosphere, or we can say they are not inside the any surface, or we can say inside the earth. So the heat dissipation is better because the wires or the conductors are in atmosphere. Therefore, the size of conductor is small compared to underground system. Whereas in cables, because of poor heat dissipation, the size of cables is more. We move to next slide. Next point is interference with the communication line. In case of overhead line system, the communication lines are run along the transmission line. In this case, it is possible to cause electromagnetic interference. Whereas in the case of underground cables, there is no chance of any kind of interference with communication line. Next point is proximity effect. In case of overhead line system, the distance between the conductor is very high. So proximity effect does not affect. In case of cable, as the distance between cables is very less, the proximity effect is very high. That means we are talking about distance between the mutual conductors. In the case of overhead line system, the mutual conductors are placed not very near. That's why this effect is very less. Yeah, we can say does not affect. But in case of cable, distance between cables is very less. The proximity effect is very high. Applications. In case of overhead line system, the cost of this system is low. Therefore, overhead lines used in the long transmission system and in rural areas for the distribution system. For cables, because of high cost, it uses in the short distance and in populated areas where space is a major problem for the overhead transmission line system. Now we will summarize this comparison. It's very much clear about the comparison between overhead lines and underground cables. As we have seen, both systems have their own advantages and disadvantages. According to the requirement of system, the transmission system decides. If cost is the main consideration, the overhead line is chosen. For this system, the non-economic factors like appearance, public safety, and traffic space are not considered then. Whereas when we will use underground cables, these underground cables use when the cost is of no consideration. That means we are not putting any emphasis on cost consideration. But in this case also, large charging current at high voltage limits the use of underground cables for long distance. So this is a simple comparison or simple technical comparison between overhead line system and underground cables. There will be some more points which are left here in this comparison. We will see, we can see in the next uh, video lecture. So for this time, we will meet again in the next video. Hope you will understand the topic today. Good luck to all of you. Thank you.